just get started. I don't know if they're coming, if they sneak in late, so be it.
Okay. Roll call. Brian Boyer.
Here.
June Jillian. Jennifer Barclay. Burkett. Chris Sutton. Claudia Camargo. Hope Wilson.
Here,
Jody Church.
here,
Mackenzie Bird.
I'm here,
And Kim Shaw.
and special attendance, the mayor. So if we want to start, do we have a quorum?
It appears.
Awesome, perfect. Let's go ahead and start with Mayor Martin. I think you had some.
I just
for
wanted
us.
to briefly come in and talk to you for a few minutes. First off, thank you for serving the community. We have a lot of public boards and a lot of people that serve on them, and the people on our public boards are really ones that carry the heavy lifting on running the town. We cannot do it without you, and we certainly appreciate all of the input that you provide. We've got a great staff and great employees here at the city, but without the public boards, there's just no way we could do the work that we do. I just want to pass on to you that the history of Angola is very dear to me and very important to me. My wife is currently working with Bill Eister to come up with some of those old historic photos, and she wants to decorate my corner office down here. And I'm just absolutely fascinated.
Yeah.
The balcony that we had talked about. We've got pictures back into the 1800s when this building was a wood frame, or the building that was here was a wood frame structure long before the bricks were ever laid for this particular building. So I really enjoy that. And my great, just a personal note, I could talk for hours about my family history here in town. My great-great-grandfather operated a horse livery stable over in the parking lot where the Moose is now.
Oh, wow.
And he was also in the 1800s. He served one term as the county sheriff. So history is very important to me. And when I look out my office window over there, which has a great view of the monument, I see some buildings that I'd really like to put some emphasis on. And we're starting to talk to some of those owners about rehabbing the buildings and using our facade grant program to help encourage them to do it. To keep that as economically viable as we possibly can. I just want to pass along my impression of some of the non-historic materials, as long as they look like they did back in the 1900s. I'm happy with that. Rather than having wood windows, if they want to put vinyl windows that replicate what was there architecturally, I'm fine with that. But at the end of the day, that's your call. But I would encourage you to try to make it as economically feasible as we can to rehab the look of these buildings, because most people really don't go up and see what the material is or look at the real fine details. As long as you look at it from a distance and it looks historically correct and we can get that done, I'm a pretty happy guy. I did want to pass on to you that there's a building at 108 South Wayne Street. The building with the curved glass building is what I always call this, next door to Kim Shop's law office. The city is in the process of taking ownership of that building. It has been dilapidated for an awful long time. It's falling down. It has structural deficits that need to be resolved. There was a huge tax lien. Kim was kind enough to go to the county and have that tax lien forgiven as long as ownership went to the city, which it will. The city doesn't want it. We're not in the business of rehabbing buildings and bringing them up to code. We have a signed agreement with a recipient of that building, and we will be passing it on to him. He's a contractor. Two stipulations that were in that contract is, number one, he has to bring the building up to current existing codes. And number two, the external part of the building, front and back, has to comply with what the Historic Preservation Group want. Yes.
Entire building, Benson has sold his part.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, he has already bought the back half.
And there's
great.
a lot of activity on the back half now
Yes,
that
yes.
the contractor owns it.
Yes.
They're working.
Okay.
We did a walkthrough with him. We're working on the Imagination Alley for a grant that we received. And so we had him over there today trying to figure out the mechanics and the infrastructure and where the pipes, you saw us.
Right.
What we were doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we are in the process of that. And I'm sure that they will be coming to you, the new owner, will be coming to you for approval for what he wants to do, front and back, alley side and street side. We've kind of told him inside, as long as it complies with our current zoning requirements, it's up to him what he does with the inside. We're also talking to some retail people about reusing or moving into our downtown area. I love the fact that our buildings are being used, but I want to find somewhat of a higher, better use for them. So that is very mindful of us. We've got several people within administration that's working with a number of folks on retail type businesses, something that will attract people to our downtown. The more people we have, the more active the downtown, the better it is for our downtown economy. So those are some of the things that I just wanted to pass on to you that I'm working on, our city is working on, things that I think are important. And I just wanted to thank you for your service and your work, and I appreciate your dedication. And why I'm here, do you have any questions of me?
I just wanted to say that the preservation brief, the 16.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfect because it really does go through materials and which
I read through
are
that,
suitable
and I've-
and which will last, so it's not really worth your money to do this.
Yeah.
Right. And like I say, the Klein Museum, you know, we have to go to fiberglass columns. It was a difference of 40,000 or 7,000.
Mhm.
You know, and besides, they don't make cedar they don't grow cedar like they used to. So would it last 100 years? You know,
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
Well, it spoke to that in the preservation
Right.
brief, was the look of the wood when you cut it is nothing like the
Right.
sustainability of what it used to be.
Yeah, it's
It was
wild. I
interesting.
saw I had something on Instagram or something like, this is 100-year-old wood, this is current wood, and you could just tell the structural.
density and
yeah, the
everything of it,
density
it was-
that's
It was-
where.
But for my dollar, if I look across the street and I can't tell if it's wood, fiberglass, plastic, vinyl, as long as it looks historically very close to what it originally was, I'm a happy camper. And I would take that over boarded up windows any day of the week.
Yeah.
Hands down, we need to get rid of some of our boarded up windows downtown, make them look more historically accurate. And like I say, if it's a modern material that's more affordable for the property owners, because the city has limited abilities to help the property owners. Our grant program only goes so far, so there is some money out of their pocket to invest in their buildings, and we're very mindful of that. We want to make it as affordable as we can and make it as aesthetically as pleasing as we possibly can. Anyway, thank you. Wish you a
Thank you
good
so much,
evening,
sir.
and thank you for your work.
Thank you for your work.
All right. Minutes approval. So I have those pulled up from October 3rd, since we haven't had a lot going on. Had no approvals or facade grants applied for since October.
Mhm.
So, approval for that.
You put those up with our other stuff.
Yes, they were all on the
Yep.
OneDrive.
Yep.
That's been a month.
Yeah, I looked through them, I didn't see any issues, but
I make a motion, we approve the minutes from October.
all right. All approved? All right. All opposed? All right, minutes are approved. Old business, none. All right, new business.
So what is our focus for 2024? That is our big question. Do we want to focus on education? Do we want to focus on a project? Do we want to look at getting grants? I know you've mentioned wanting plaques on buildings. What is our big goal by the end of 2024 that we have accomplished as HPC? That is kind of what we just want to set in stone, and then we can start working towards it. Discussion? Any ideas?
When I saw this, I thought, focus on it really only can be education because our other job already has its own focus. Unless you want to think of taking in another district or
But as the HPC, you need a work plan, a strategic plan of something that you want to implement. Like we talked about making brochures, so I put this together with the information I had that could have been your project. But we talked about it all last year, so I brought it for the beginning of the year to implement.
I'm just saying.
That could have been your project.
Education is part of our job, as is. the
So how do you want to
So it's
educate the
like,
community?
What would our focus be for
Right.
education?
That would be great, or going towards a grant to implement signs on, that could also be, do we want to raise funds to do a project like that?
We had talked about like signs on buildings with like a,
Like the
like a
placards.
QR code or
Yeah.
something that they could scan and then learn more about the building, see old pictures, that kind of thing. We had talked about.
And at
something
one
like that
time,
in the past.
Main Street had money for that.
And no one ever came together and
No.
did that project, so the money went back.
Yep. Mhm.
Yep, so that, we achieved that, and then there
So
was
where
no
does-
output.
Where does the $3,000 matching grant come from? Where's that 3,000 come
So
from?
that is,
City,
no,
Town?
so that's, I believe, the Indiana Humanities, is that what you're talking about, the
Yeah.
historic
the
preservation? and
matching
education
grant, yeah.
Yes, so that, the second round is due September 30th, so that would be, their first round was already completed.
Okay,
So we would have to go towards the 30th to apply for that, but if we can come up with a project and put those things together for a grant, I would be more than happy to sit down and apply for that if we decide on the project that we want to implement to go for to get those funds.
okay. And like plaques would be involved in that. Is there anywhere where like it, I see this underlined, is that a clickable link?
Yeah,
that
so-
shows like what kind
Yes.
of things that they would
Yes.
match?
Yes,
Like
so,
certain ideas and stuff, okay,
Of course,
because I
they
did
give
not look at
examples.
that. Yeah.
so if you bring that up on, I wonder if I can click it right through here. Oh, it will, wonderful. So this will go through the Indiana Humanities and just explain
Mm-hmm.
grant details, the resources, highlights, the timeline. And
How
so
much do they award up to?
3,000,
Oh, they only
award up to
award
3,000.
And it has to match.
Mhm. So for the first round, it was due February 29th. Second round is February 30th. So we can go for that one, but yes, if you click on this, it gives you all of the resources, and
okay.
everything that
I
you
assumed
need.
it did, I
Yeah.
hadn't.
So if this is something we want to go for, I can begin collecting any information. I love writing grants. It might be weird, but I do enjoy it. I do enjoy writing them.
That is weird, but I'm glad somebody like
Weird but valuable.
So I would be more than happy to go towards that if we have an end goal, what we want to put it towards. So I just need a decision from you guys.
Do you know, because I was only on the writing side of that grant when they were gonna do the signage before, coming up with information. So we never heard how much any of this would cost if they decided. So could we get signage done for $6,000?
We could get the start of it, yes, absolutely. And then we can look at maybe what we can do as a fundraiser to get more money to go towards that project. So maybe we start with 2 very important buildings, or we pick, the ones that we want those markers on first, and then go from there and just at least get the project started and moving and make some motion downtown with those educational pieces. And then maybe each year we try to implement 2 or 3 more.
Maybe with the buildings that people have done upkeep on and.
Yeah, kind of.
City building.
What do you think of Black Idea, Joe?
I think it's fine. We have never had money. And, we've never had a budget. We've never
Right.
had a treasurer. We've never had any money that we dealt with. I mean, if we got grants, it was just a flat out, grant. So, this is new. So I would just say, we're not used to thinking about that kind of option. So I
I
would
think we
have
need
to
to
go
start,
toward
yeah.
you
I think we need
to
to
say,
start.
I would say, well, if that's something that's doable, then I would need you to say, here's these 3 things I think we might achieve.
Yeah.
So
Like
So-
3 of the best
yeah,
options of something to do.
I honestly am not gonna, be able to spend time clicking and researching and doing all that right now. So I am just I'm gonna use people who do that for a living, who know more than I do.
So, and I mean, it could be as simple as we talk with the city, this becomes just
Yeah.
something we're
I
doing.
wonder what the city wants.
Yeah,
What
right.
would they think would be a cool thing?
Yeah, or
that-
ideas they have.
Yeah.
I do really like the plaque ideas. I think that was something that was
Mhm.
already put in motion, just not finalized. So I don't see why I could reach out. I believe, did George have anything to do with that grant at that time with Main Street? Because it was kind of a Main Street.
It's very possible. I can ask him.
Okay, if we could reach out, if he even had,
Do you know if George?
George.
I knew he,
Uh,
Elemento and.
Oh, no, well, it was Colleen who was the one who was asking us for information.
Okay, then George
So,
was
but he was on the
probably
board then, possibly. Because he's the one that brought up the project to me.
Okay, and that's very possible.
So I didn't know if
Yeah.
he just
Yeah.
was part of any of that.
Okay, yeah.
But maybe getting some information on if they had chosen the buildings. But quite frankly,
I don't know. I mean, I have,
Did
I
it get
still
that
have
far?
a list of the things we wrote words
Okay.
for, but I saw something yesterday, and this might be an interesting place to start. It was, those plaques like they have at Pokagon, and we
Yeah.
have one, like you have at the what? The little garden.
Yeah.
The rain garden.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was South Haven, and they had the view of the whole street,
okay.
and then with information.
So maybe
About the
looking at, so more like a timeline
So
of
it's
the
kind of
city.
like, you can view each
Because you brought
quadrant
those up
or.
and Marshall, right? Those signs.
Marshall
Oh,
and
you mean
Marshall.
rather than on each building, each
Right, rather
quadrant?
than
Have more of
having a
the,
plaque.
the history of Angola.
And yeah, like the
Okay.
downtown history. And then also, yeah, Chelsea is the one who put them on sides of the building and if you wanted to read a lot, you could. but then they had
Right, right.
pictures.
I can
And I
definitely
saw
look into.
those.
Well, and that's why I
And-
think
Ann
with,
Arbor had those too, the white enameled, they had.
I
those
can
on
look
the
into
side.
what something like that would be and talk with Amanda, because it's the right of way, it's being on a state, street where we can put those signs.
right.
But I will look into that, but I think that would be a great.
But it also like could be a quadrant thing
Yeah.
close to our sculptures.
Right, right.
You know, they come to the sculptures and then they're like, hey, you want to learn more about this downtown area? It's like a side.
And so
step
highlights of
the
those buildings
sculpture.
in that corner.
Yeah, and it would highlight that area and then of course, then we wouldn't have to worry about.
And looking at prices, it might be we do one with this grant, if that's what
Yeah.
it is, and then we just.
Well, and
each-
with
each
technology, it wouldn't even have to say that much. We could
Yeah.
like have a QR code,
Right.
scan it, and then they would have all the information at their fingertips and.
It's something, or it can be on the side of a building.
Yeah.
But like on
Could
the
be,
side
yeah.
of the city building.
Yeah.
Where you could look. And
I will definitely
oh,
look
this
into
is
that.
the view I'm looking at,
Mhm.
and that's what was happening.
Yeah.
I think that's a good
Down South
angle, I
Wayne
think, to
Street.
go with more or less the history of downtown, not just a building, and then
And
that
you
signage
can
could
mention
be
the
there.
other buildings that
Yeah,
are,
perfect.
that are still there.
wonderful. I will look into that and report back on what I find out.
Maybe how much,
Yeah.
like a rough estimate of how much a plaque would cost by itself. Like, okay, a big plaque for everything versus a small plaque for each. You know what I mean?
Yeah, just some comparisons.
I don't even know how much that kind of stuff runs.
Right.
Because you obviously want good material that's going to last.
Yeah,
So,
we will look into that. All right, so I think
Right.
signage downtown.
Are there any parameters or guidelines that for the state of Indiana or for, that we would have to kind of go with somebody else's plan, or do we have to come up with our own design completely? Is that, like, how does that work? When you're putting that kind of
That's-
signage up?
That's definitely something I'm gonna talk with the city engineer, because she's already talking to me about wayfinding signage downtown, so to try to get that to match. If we're already planning on doing more signage downtown, then we might wanna stick with kind of that theme and what they're already going with. So I'm gonna pick her brain on where she thinks, and we might sit down and come up with an idea or even get some
Something that's
suggestions.
compatible. with
Compatible, exactly. Yeah,
And
so.
so cheap option too is to have a walking tour of downtown.
Mhm.
Because even, it's that tiny town, Oceago or something. I mean, I remember they had a walking tour and I go, well, this is nice.
yeah.
Because it was tiny, but it kind of gave me a whole view of the town.
Oh, you mean like a pamphlet
walking
walking?
tour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Which
Well, we've had those in
I
the
know,
past.
but I don't think it was so much of
Implemented
a
well.
walking one
Yeah.
We can look into that too. Walking
It
tour.
was more just like,
on each.
this is a place, this is a place, this is a place, rather than an actual walking brochure, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but maybe if we do something like that, we could implement like the QR codes and it can actually be
Right.
like checkpoints.
Well, and my sister runs a museum in a small town in Arizona, their historic museum, and they have a walking tour. My dad actually did it one time and it's just, like you said, just followed it. So I could see if she can send me a brochure or
Yeah, that'd
something
be
and just a starting off point or something. Cause it's a historic, like,
to go with the plaques
West Town type.
as well. I knew June said something, if we were to pursue plaques, tourism would be willing to provide some matching grants to HPC
Oh,
to help that
wonderful.
happen. So
Wonderful.
that was also on her notes. So remember that. Hello, Chris. Sorry. No, you're good.
Wonderful.
It's been a busy day.
Sorry.
I think you're fine.
All right.
It's just, that's great.
The next thing is preservation brief. I attached that with the agenda. Hopefully you got a chance to look that over. Just some really good updates on how we can better help our business owners downtown with using maybe not the exact material that is historic, but supplementing with the appropriate materials that are still durable and a little more cost effective.
It's a great document.
Yeah, it was a wonderful, I sat through the webinar on the 22nd and they went through each piece and it was very
Yeah,
informative.
absolutely.
So I'm not sure if they sent that out or if it's available. I will look if they have a
They're
link.
repeating that.
They're doing another one, yes.
So
They
when
are.
you say HPC OneDrive,
That is what everything is linked to and I send the email.
okay, but can you just have it on the HPC page so that people looking for guidelines could see? what
They're all on the
guidelines are?
city, they're on the city page
Okay,
linked already.
A regular person.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's what it's linked to is the OneDrive. So when you click on the link online, it takes you to the city, the drive that everybody can access that we upload documents to.
Okay.
Yeah. So they are there for everyone to see. The next thing, I know a few of us were asking about training opportunities. I did find that the National Preservation Institution offers on-demand training. So if you just go onto their website, you can click on anything to gain some information there. They're free of charge. They do obviously host in-person ones, but those are to a cost to you. But there is a link I included in the agenda if you wanted to do a little more digging or had some interest in actually attending an event. Through Main Street, we offer the Preserving Historic Places Conference that is going to take place this year on October 22nd through the 25th in Madison, Indiana. Main Street offers scholarship opportunities. So if any of you on the board, seeing as Main Street would like to partner with to guide and help us with the historic preservation as well,
Mhm.
if any of you would be willing and wanted to go to that conference, I can definitely apply for that grant for you, for that scholarship, if you would be willing. I attended it last year because I had to attend either that or the NOW conference for Main Street. And it was a lot of information in 1 week, but it was very valuable information. So if anyone would be interested, I'm going to the Main Street Now conference this year, so I don't have to go to this one. But there is an opportunity for any of you or if any on the Main Street board, but I think as the Preservation Commission, it would be worthwhile for one of us to attend if you wanted to.
Do you know if they still have the camp? Remember the camp, Jody, that people could take?
Yeah,
online?
it was like a day
So it's for
ahead of the
members?
conference. And
Right.
that was basically for new people
Right.
who are new to HBC
Mhm.
board. And it kind of talked about,
They do offer
What you need
day
to know.
passes, yes, so they
you
had,
could just go for one day.
Yeah, it was called camp.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I don't think they necessarily, I think
It
they
was
just
free.
offer, yeah, they don't offer, last year they didn't anyways. It was,
Now they
One day
did the year
passes available.
before, because I was there when it was in South Bend.
Mhm.
And in fact, they were very complimentary. They asked if anyone had ever been taken to court.
Yep.
We did.
Yep.
And they were just very complimentary about what happened and how it was handled. And, I felt pretty proud of our people.
Yeah, absolutely.
but if
That's neat to be able to
interested,
tell that story to to other groups. Yeah.
so if interested, you would just need to cover your lodging. And if a scholarship is not granted, we may be able to talk with the city about if we'd have to ask permission to see if we could.
Scholarship. Oh, for the
For the
cost.
conference,
The
yes,
cost of
yes,
the
so-
conference.
So
Oh,
you
okay,
staying
okay.
would have to be on your own, the
Right.
hotel if you wanted to go, but if we didn't get that scholarship, we could potentially offer that to the city to see if they would be willing,
Okay.
but that would have
For
to
the
be,
cost of the conference, but
Yes.
travel and lodging would.
yeah, it would be on
Got
your
it.
own.
Got it. Yep.
I guess I haven't been down there for about 10, I went to school there.
Mhm.
What hotel?
I'm not sure. They do,
I can't even think they have.
when they do the registration and everything, they tell you where everyone is staying. So that would just be later.
It's
Well, and they
like
might be
downtown. It's
staying,
beautiful.
they might be staying in Louisville too. I mean, Did you go to Hanover? Is that, oh, okay.
It's an hour and a half. It's an hour to go.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's a gorgeous town. It's worth going to.
It is.
But if you do happen upon any other training opportunities that you'd be interested in that have to do with historic preservation, please let us know and we will do our best to get you there or find some way to get you there.
Mhm.
But
Okay.
just bring that to our attention and it'll be evaluated. The next thing, I know it brought, Hope brought to our attention the Indiana landmarks as a rehire. I will read right from June's comments. She said, "It was my understanding that Indiana Landmark chose not to renew the contract. However, perhaps renewed discussion should take place. Landmarks did review and wrote staff reports, making sure we were in line with state and federal statutes. I also understand that training for the commission could be offered, for example, architecture, creating districts, etc. She's not opposed to working with Indiana Landmarks, but just to remember, they were the ones that chose to step away. We didn't fire them.
Why?
But why they chose to step
Yes.
away is the issue.
I think they would
There were some
welcome,
changes.
I think they would be very happy to return.
They absolutely
So
would.
that was, she's happy to the discussion of it because they were a great resource and they still are.
And speaking of the case that.
Yes.
The city could never have won that case
Right.
without Deb
Without
Parcell.
Eric.
That is exactly right.
They were,
Yep.
that was a
I'm not sure what was
prickly
changed.
case.
Yes,
The
right.
expertise that they brought
Wonderful.
allowed us to prevail.
And no, we still have the ability to reach out whenever. Deb,
Yeah.
landmarks.
Yeah, but that's not,
her.
yeah, that's not, and that's.
So I spoke to her directly at the
I
preservation
did too.
conference and she said, please reach out if you have any questions. So she has offered that.
And
Advice?
that's like anybody who leaves
Right.
the employee, say,
That
hey,
is
call
true.
me if you have
Yeah.
a question.
Yeah, exactly.
So she is there, but we also have the Main Street Board, Main Street Organization, which there's a lot of assets there as well that I can reach out to for advice. Andrea, who was a preservationist before her position with Okra, has written multiple letters to help with historic districts and getting things moved along. So we have several resources, but
I think the issue comes as to what was changed
In the contract.
in the
they couldn't sign
contract to
it.
make,
They couldn't sign it.
I think they sensed they weren't welcome.
I agree with that, and I don't know what was changed.
and again, that was
Make them-
before me, so.
And I
I'm not
absolutely
really
Before you,
anything
but I was right in the thick
Yes,
of it.
Yeah,
yes,
and I
right. And you
absolutely
would be more
understand
welcome.
that, but I think things, as far as this commission goes, things were done behind closed doors without the commission knowing about it. And things were changed to make it almost impossible for Indiana Landmarks to be a part of this.
Very-
And I think to make a decision on this, we need to know what was changed and if it was on purpose. If someone wanted that, didn't want them around for some certain reason, if that's what happened, I don't know.
So if we would like to pursue a relationship with Indiana Landmarks, I can absolutely reach out and see what that could look like. If it's just getting advice and someone that I can reach out to, if there's someone that actually wants to come to every meeting, we would just have to decide what we would want that to look like and how they would want to be a part of our commission. So I can reach out to Indiana and they can guide me in who to chat with to get that resolved or get some answers. If you guys would want to open that relationship back up.
If this board is looking to step into the future and
Mhm.
modernize,
I think, yeah, we
they're
need to be
vital.
same page.
They're
Yeah.
vital.
Well, and I think, again, saying this board would open back up, it wasn't the board in general that severed ties. It was whoever built the contract, or what have you. It happened and then we were notified.
That's true.
So I think the answer
So-
is yes, we would like.
So we would like to pursue.
Yeah, we
answer
would
is
like to
yes.
pursue some
I
answers.
really don't.
If
wanna go
nothing else, I
forward
want some
without them.
answers.
I
Yeah.
feel like they're the guiding force that
Yes.
has helped us be successful. And I think that they're vital and I
And
don't
especially
know
with the
I don't
changes in
know
the
what
courthouse coming
changed
and.
Yeah.
what needs to be resolved.
Yeah, we were, and again, like you said, before your time.
Yeah.
Nothing against you, anything like that. It was just one of those issues that things happen and then they're like, oh, by the way. And we're like, what?
Yeah.
So we do not know what changed in the contract, what made them feel like they couldn't be a part of it, but they're almost an invaluable resource.
They were to me.
And especially with changes coming, with the courthouse
Yeah.
and different things moving on, different
Well, if you're talking
ideas.
about moving
They-
into the residences,
Oh, absolutely, right, yes.
Establishing
Yes.
residential districts.
Yes, absolutely.
That's,
Yeah, yeah.
that's delicate,
Mhm.
and we need
Yes,
professional.
yeah, we do, because we've not even set foot in that area yet.
Right.
So,
We want to know what we're getting into.
and I understand that Main Street does have a lot of resources, but it's a different entity.
Yeah.
They have different,
Not really. The way main streets are set up, they are, in a lot of communities, the ones setting up the HPC for the
Okay.
cities and helping. So
okay,
really, this is a hand-in-hand partnership
okay,
that we should be utilizing more because one of their pillars is historic preservation. And like Kendallville got a very large grant for Main Street to establish the HPC
Mhm.
and those grant funds and those kinds of things. So it's really not as separate as you think when you look at it that way. It really is.
Well, I guess it's separate in the
Apart.
sense that I don't have any clue who is on the Main Street board, and I've never met any,
And
or talked to any of them.
Yep, and that's why I've
Yeah.
made sure to schedule those
Yeah,
and so that we could maybe have those
Right.
cross.
right, yeah, because
The
it,
more help you can get, the better.
Yes, exactly. So, with that, I will reach out
Okay.
to Dana Landmarks and see how I need to be guided on
Mhm.
maybe getting that relationship back and established.
okay,
Potential committees. So like I said, I did just put together, we did a lot of talking about getting some kind of informative brochure for new business owners in the downtown. So they know that there is a facade grant they can apply for, what it looks like if they want to make changes to their buildings. Just a quick and easy, here's, hey, welcome to the downtown district. This is what's going on.
absolutely.
So I created this. If there's any changes or if you want me to take anything out.
No, I think this is a great idea. I think this is a great idea because, like I said, I mean, when I bought my building, I had no idea that this board even exists.
Right.
I changed my back door, my back screen, storm door. Had no idea that I
Had
needed
to go through
ask
anything
for-
like
Yeah, I had to ask permission.
And I don't
So-
think anybody moving in does know that right off the top of their head.
And that, yeah, exactly.
So I think just as a welcome, while I'm going through and introducing, who I am, community coordinator, what I'm doing, and I could just, by the way, if you need any help with things like this, here's some information, reach out if you need it.
I think it's
If
great.
you're happy with the format, I would change your title though, because right now this looks for the general public.
Well,
There's nothing here to indicate that, they're already here in the historic district.
I know, I guess it was just welcoming them to,
Right, but there's
And no
nothing
one
on here to
to-
indicate that this is a brochure for business owners and property owners. So if you could somehow put that in your title. So that if someone picked that up, if I walked down and picked it up, I'd like, oh, this is.
Well,
Well, I'm not-
this wouldn't be like a
It's not
handout.
it's
It
not
would
just
be,
out for
there is a
anyone.
new owner of 125 South Public Square. Hi, I'm from the city of Angola. Here's our brochure that shows you everything
Welcome to
about
the historic
welcome to the
district.
district. This isn't something that's gonna be sitting.
I'm not gonna sit this out at
That you pick up.
Sutton's for somebody to just look
Right.
at.
This is gonna be hand
I'm just saying
delivered.
because some of the QR codes go directly to the Tourism Bureau, that they might lose sight of the fact that this is what we really want them to know about this.
I guess with the tour, I know which one you're talking about. I took it because like the courthouse was in there, so them knowing like the historic buildings and the
Right,
markers in our
which is
downtown.
nice. But
So
I don't
that's where
want I don't want to take one look and think, oh, that's right, I'm in a historic district, but not go to the city stuff.
you realize I'm having the conversation.
Yeah,
Everything
they-
has
they're-
to say-
That's,
Yeah.
it's, so
This
that's,
isn't like you see it at a bank and pick it
Right.
up. It's
it's
actually gonna
me
be hand
walking into the
delivered,
business saying, welcome to the store.
talking and then
and walking
leaving
them through
something.
it so
for
that
them.
they
Back here and making contact.
Yes, I'm going face to face to deliver.
Right, yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it's not just.
Cause this
for
is
everyone.
something that happens 4 or 5 times a year.
Right.
Maybe,
Right.
so
So I can,
based on new ownership in the historic
Are
district.
you aware, is the city aware when property changes?
Yep.
Mhm.
we are.
Mackenzie?
Yes.
On the certificate of appropriateness
Yes.
part, I noticed this right-hand margin is cut off some.
Yeah, this is just a rough draft. I just
Over
printed
a
them
little
for you to
bit.
see. So
Okay.
yeah, the formatting is not perfect. It was
Okay.
I threw it together. So there's an
Right,
example.
right.
Yeah,
Just-
right.
And these were just printed here, not at a
Right.
professional place. So with the
Right.
actual document, it will be printed professionally,
Yeah, yeah,
not off our city printer.
right.
It was just so it would be a tangible thing for you to look
Yeah,
at.
something to look at and get an idea. Yep.
With that, I know, Hope, if you want to speak on your opinions or ideas for the conservation district, I know you brought that up.
Right, I know Lee Sauer had, I knew we did a tour down there one year, but that was before my time too.
It was wonderful.
Mhm.
See,
You
that
did
was
such
before
a
my
good
time.
job.
Yeah.
So I don't really know much about South Wayne Street. I really feel that I really feel that the museum is willing to apply. And Don Mason walked by, and I know he's not well, but we had a conversation outside the museum because he's a Pinock on the board. And he said that he would like to see his home preserved on the exterior, the luster.
Really, I'm so.
I know, I think that
No
would make me
kidding.
very happy.
I would
He
love.
really has not been
Now
able to
you've got
do
Jody
much.
excited.
I
She
know,
loves the
I'm
Lustron
excited.
house.
But see, now there's a case of
Just
an education,
communicating.
you know what I mean? I mean, why do we care about it? You know, just having the signage there, even maybe on the back of the carriage barn, about why this is, you know, significant for,
So then,
for Americans.
Could we possibly just do a single site designation
We could, but if the museum, they
if the museum wanted to do?
Yeah, I
So
think
for
that
things like
Deb-
that, that's why I want Indiana landmarks, because I
But that's what I was
don't
gonna
know
say,
all that
because
stuff.
I remember Deb saying at one point, it's more difficult. It's better to do a grouping,
Maybe,
but
but
I don't know.
if somebody wants it done and they want to preserve their home,
Absolutely, yeah.
they should be able to do that. And
Mhm.
I thought those are so rare, and here we have one.
Mhm.
It's just the cutest little thing. So I just would love to
Well-
see that happen. I would put that down as my dream for
Now-
2024.
The Lustron House and the Klein Museum, do their properties actually touch to where they
in
can?
the back.
In the back there, are they catty corner?
So those two together
We
could
have
be,
I mean,
could,
we
if
don't-
we couldn't
we don't
get any of the
know.
other houses.
Our lot is the whole block.
Oh, so you go straight
We
through
go straight to
and
Gilman.
he's beside.
Yeah, because the barn's
So
back
you
there.
could
So we
do-
are-
That's what I'm saying. We could do, even if it's
Okay,
just
you
those
could do
two.
Those two.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I have this feeling that the people in the house next door are not there anymore. Because I've been at the Klein a lot
Oh,
lately, and
really?
they're never there.
The one next to the moose,
No,
No.
in between you and the moose, or the other side?
the other side. The one next to
Really?
me, the one next to me is going down.
Okay,
The one
I
between
wondered
me
if
and the
that was the case.
doctor's office.
that doctor's office. not
Yes,
the
that
moose.
is going down and will be Cameron Hospital bought it. And that is, according to the little boy, he was like your age, but you know, he's a little kid. According to the guy who was cleaning up that tree today in his beard.
I'll be
If I
50 in
ever
a,
caught
I'll
you.
be 50 in a couple
If I ever
of months.
caught
Oh, Brian, do you have anything to say, you cute little scamp?
Anyone my children's age is just a little person, yes. But at any rate, according to the young man who was, probably 50, who was cleaning up the tree today, he said that that house between the Klein and the doctor's office was earlier than the Klein. The Klein is 1890.
Oh, is that
I thought
right?
it was like 1850s, between
Really?
1860s. Yeah, earlier than mine even, because mine is 1870.
Interesting.
It really is an old thing.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, it hasn't been kept up.
Yeah,
The roof has been bad for years too. So
yeah.
that will be gutted for a profit. But the people on the other side of me, which is a beautiful old home
Mhm.
and quite lovely on the inside, I don't know if they might be interested.
Right.
Except, like I say, I
Oh,
haven't
you
seen
just walk right over there.
like, but they're not there. I don't know where they are.
And just to interject what June had to say about this, so that we're all getting her opinions as well. This is a secondary district that may be able to become historic in the future and is adjacent to a historic district. She is in favor, if this is in the best interest of the city and can make us eligible for additional funding. So I don't know exactly the steps we need to take, but we can look into that
Again,
and speak with the mayor, speak with Indiana Landmarks on how he would want to proceed, seeing as we do serve
Yeah.
his
I think, isn't it, a conservation district is like, you can do it preliminarily
Yes, for
for
like, was
a
it 3
few
years?
years.
3 to 5 years?
I thought it was at least three, but
It's in there.
that that if it was established as a conservation district, then at the end of that time,
You could decide.
then it could, yeah. So I thought that may be, sometimes the way I understood it, it was like a stepping stone and it could lead toward HPC, or a
Like
historic.
official
Yes, an
approval.
official
I understand.
historic district. So I guess I'd like.
Maybe first step is if there's a preliminary.
Too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that would be really good for South Wayne. I think the museum and the Mason House, there are less controls in the conservation. I think they are
Mhm.
really thinking in terms of, hey, if we're not a museum anymore, can we still at least maintain the exterior of this building?
So I can try to gather some more information if there's a
That'd be great to
preliminary
know.
and
Yeah.
how to move forward with that. The public education piece, I think we kind of already touched on that with if we're wanting to do kind of the plaques or the signage downtown. And that can be our project and that we're writing the grant for. So that is just kind of our mission to gather what we want on those signs or how we want to proceed with that. So I know I've come across, you said like the walking tour snippets and the histories that you've done. I came across that book of information.
Particularly correct.
Yes, so I do have that information, so kind of going off of that, maybe start there with those are the buildings we want to highlight. And then adding whatever we deem necessary as it comes. But first gathering the information on what the signs would cost and how many we could do in that first. So I think that's a good goal to get to by the end of the year and writing that grant would be great. I will speak to June with her, she wanted to put a little snippet about tourism, is open to partnering with HPC, as mentioned in the past. Currently, the Tourism Bureau has a history page that is viewed by less than 1% of the total website visitors. I am currently working, we're doing Historic Preservation Month is May. I want to do kind of like History Tuesday or something, so a social media post about different historic buildings and a picture of them and a little write-up, which hopefully getting that link connected to the tourism page, because I know that's kind of what we want to push. So using Historic Month as that time to really push it out on through Main Street, but with the education piece of all the information we've gathered already. So going to try to push that, which might help with people getting to the tourism page and knowing it exists.
And I will check that page again because when I went there years ago, when I first came on, you really couldn't get to the tours. Like I said,
Okay.
I know they've done tours for years. How do I get to those? Because then I could see more information about each
Yeah.
building on the tour, and she had to print them out for me. So I'm not sure that.
Because she
How
does say,
much
it says
they
has a
actually have.
downloadable tour that was developed by Jim Summers some years ago.
And that is county.
An Archie tour, yep.
That's a
And
county
there's
tour.
information on the monument, Powers Church, the old jail, Klein
Right.
Museum. It's all on there, that page.
Right.
There were two
I
blogs
wish we could let
written.
people go into the old jail. That'd
She
be
said she
awesome.
had Maria Davis provided some information on the downtown buildings along with embedded videos and closed captioning. The tour will be redone, so they're gonna redo that. Feel free to contact her directly with any questions. When this is all accomplished, tourism's history section will be robust, so they're looking
Okay,
at improving
And
that.
everyone should go
So
there. and look at it.
There's your
You
answer.
can see the before and after.
She said they reviewed her SEO to ascertain if we're all missing any keywords, and that would encourage viewership, so getting more people to actually click on the page. Let's see. Due to the courthouse project, we could not wait any longer to update the history section of our website. We wanted the public to be able to access any historical information about that area. And to speak on the courthouse, she also wrote, she was not aware that anything new would be in the old jail. It's currently just momentum for the courthouse. And as far as that goes, there's been a partnership with HWC Engineering to facilitate a process to identify a range of alternative uses for the courthouse, which also includes an architectural evaluation. And the process was funded by tourism, the Community Foundation, City of Angola, Steuben County, Trine University, and Cameron. So everybody came together to kind of how we did the downtown master plan. HWC facilitated that, where there were times for people to come in, give their opinions, stakeholders had conversation. There will be numerous public meetings, and then there will also be a survey on the website for community input on what they would like the courthouse to be or what they would like to see done with that. So as for us, we can be a part of that by showing up to those meetings and giving our opinions. But that is kind of, the commission has taken that on as well as some other stakeholders.
What's the HW? What did you say?
HWC Engineering, it's a business that does,
Oh, okay, that's.
that facilitates the surveys
I
and the
wonder if
public
they're doing
hearings.
that. We just did for the museum, a historic structure report, because a lot of
Mhm.
grants want that. Is that?
Yeah, yeah, so they have to get a structural integrity of the building and all of that stuff. So showing up to those meetings would be very important to, if you have ideas or if you want to see something in there. When those are all released to
Okay,
the
they
public
haven't
yet.
really
No,
had
it's just very beginnings of that. I've sat in on a few of those meetings, just trying to gather where we could have those meetings. And we want to make sure that they're county-wide, not just Angola. So looking at Fremont, looking at Hamilton, different options for where we can actually facilitate to get a county opinion rather than just the Angola opinion. With that, if there's any other business from anyone else, does anyone else have anything to report or say?
I just have a question.
Yes.
Looking at the rules that Denver created last year, we're no longer, if we're not meeting monthly and someone turns in a COA, that has to be dealt with within 30 days.
Yes,
Or it just
and-
passes automatic.
But I have to give you 2 weeks notice and we can call a meeting to approve that.
And my question was, would you just stick to the same time,
Yes,
like Wednesdays?
Yep.
So that we could, in our mind, be thinking,
yes, if there was an emergency meeting, it would be held on
On
this
Wednesday
Wednesday at
or-
4. It's just, we had limited agendas all of last year. I was canceling meetings constantly. So I felt like it was more necessary, just if you guys plan, there could be a meeting, but there won't
We
be
could
unless
be
it's the
called.
quarterly. And I just feel like the attendance would be better and the things we have to discuss might be a little more intentional than just
Right. I
coming
get
in
it, but
and
as long
chatting.
as you know.
Yes,
That it.
yeah, I wouldn't just call it on a Thursday at 2. Plan on Wednesday at
At 4
4.
o'clock.
Yeah.
And then,
We're gonna do it Saturday morning at 6.
See you there.
do you need to elect officers?
I don't believe so. Because I think Clay was reappointed.
And
And
this is a dictatorship, so I'm.
that's that. And June, although she couldn't be here today because of being out of town, was also, her term wasn't up, I don't believe, as vice.
No, I don't think so. I think
So-
she was only,
so I don't
she'd
think
only
we
been on a
can-
year. I think the
Yes.
terms are 2.
2.
Yeah.
So
So. I would say 3.
I think that's rude.
I think you're right. I think it
You
is.
could be correct.
It is 3.
You could be correct.
So, yes, with that, the meetings will be on a Wednesday. They will be at 4. I won't pull any craziness to get approvals for those. And I do not believe officers are yearly, Jennifer just said.
3. Okay.
Officers are yearly
Yeah, officers are different than.
than terms. Yeah, yep. So any other questions or comments, reports from anyone else? I will reach out and look at these things and report back to everyone on that.
Okay.
I don't think there was much else that June had to say. She just said that she was not aware that Main Street had a historic preservation committee. It's a great idea to partner. Tourism will be happy to assist with any projects. So it was not spoke on heavily in the past by the leadership of Main Street that there was a heavy push for preservation. But that is one of the pillars that they.
Yeah, I feel like.
I mean,
there's-
they required me to go to
two
the
separate committees.
Preservation Commission or conference, so.
Yeah, I feel like that there's 2 separate committees trying to do a good thing.
Yeah.
In the exact same area.
Yep.
For them not to be joined is.
Right. Right, so
ridiculous.
anything you guys want to do, we are happy to help. Anything we are doing
Mhm.
involving historic preservation, we will absolutely be reporting to you guys for advice. If that's it, then I think we may adjourn.
All right, anyone else have anything? All right. Anyone have a motion to adjourn?
Move we adjourn.
Seconds.
Second.
All in favor of adjournment? All opposed? All right, meeting adjourned. Yep.
And Clay, I have something to ask you.
Okay.
Before you